is very different from 6 figures net. I'm gonna say that again. You making 100K gross is different from me saying I made 100K net profit. 100K gross profit can be made and you still have 90K of costs to pay off. Meaning you only made 10K realistically, right? Whereas 100K net profit means after all the costs, I actually made 100K net profit that I can then take out and do stuff with. So that was another.
You're a business owner, you may or may not already have your online presence created. There are some mistakes that can be made, and I don't want you to be making them when you're starting your business online. One of them is not knowing when to get your hosting. Think of your website as a building, and your hosting is the land that your building is on. It's wise, and it makes a lot more sense for you to make your website around the same time as when you get your hosting. There is no advantage to you getting your hosting, say, in January, but then you start your website in December. That time in between you're paying for, and you have to renew your hosting the year after. Another thing is this: if you already have your online presence, one mistake is you could be making is not actually collecting your leads via your website. This is not the same as general inquiries. A lead is me raising my hand and saying, I'm interested in your particular service. A general inquiry could be something like me asking you, hey, what year did you start your business? The two are not the same. So I've put together an easily digestible checklist of the 5 biggest mistakes you could make online and how to avoid them. It's called the Secret Web Design Checklist. Also, I've got a book and it's called Starting Your Online Business the Right Way. Just go to oyemade.com/performance. That's oyemade.com/performance. And you see the options for the Secret Web Design Checklist and the book to starting your online business the right way. Hope you enjoy those. Now, let's get back to the episode.
My man, how you doing, Mr. Ray?
I am doing hunky-dory, peachy cream, blessed by the best and can't be stressed. How about yourself?
Chilling. Okay. Coming with the energy. I am marvelous on purpose.
That's what I'm talking about. A lot of times they've been telling me I'm 60 days. They said, stop saying that, Mr. Ray. But I want you to know what it looks like at 63. See, a lot of times you see 63 walk around like this. No, when you get 63, you can still be acting like you're 25, 36. You know what I'm saying? And like they say in New Orleans, you heard me?
You heard me?
Yes, indeed, man. I am so grateful. Appreciate you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I'm just sitting here, and whatever you need, I'm ready to get started or just hang out with you for a little while.
Yo, well, first of all, Ray, I appreciate you jumping on with us all the way from New Orleans. You heard?
Well, I live in Charlotte. I work in New Orleans, but I'm from Camden, New Jersey.
Okay. Now we know. Camden, New Jersey.
Yes,
Where you work in New Orleans, where you live in Charlotte. Okay.
I live in Charlotte. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Are you going to the Black Equity Con?
No, I'm not. Actually, I just started another major project, and I can share a little, what I do on my consulting stuff. I consult with Homeland Security, FEMA, natural disaster, like that. So I just signed a major I don't call it major. It's just a big contract. And
okay. Don't tell us now. Don't tell us just yet.
I ain't gonna tell you nothing. I ain't gonna tell you yet.
We're gonna ask all these questions as the show begins. We're gonna ask all these questions. But that was something that I saw that I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Working with Homeland Security, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's dope. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen who are here, thank you for rocking with us. Welcome to another episode of the Trust Thyself Podcast. This is the show where we talk to people who go from underdogs to the heroes in their own stories. And today we got Mr. Ray W. all the way from Charlotte. How you doing, Ray? You good?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just grateful. Like I said, grateful again. I am good.
Thank you. Thank you for jumping. Thank you for jumping on with us and for giving us some gems already. Even before we started, you're already about to drop some gems. You came with the high energy. I love it. Set the tone. Oh man, we even had some questions. I had a couple friends who were in here. They were asking, "What is fintech? You know, what does it do? Like, how do we get into it? All that sort of stuff. How do we build wealth around it? Those sort of questions." So, I guess first things first. Tell us about you. Who is Ray? Give us some background. And the funny thing about this is, me and you haven't actually spoken properly, so I don't actually know you that well. So I'm actually about to find out stuff on this show as well. So I just know it's Ray with the high energy. That's all I know.
So look, I am Ray Wilkerson. I am from Camden, New Jersey, born and raised there. I am 63 years old. I have been, just a little bit about me, and I'm just going to be real transparent. I don't know no other way. Growing up in Camden, New Jersey was one of the poorest cities in the United States. One of the highest crime rates when I was growing up. One of the highest crime rates. All that crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Went to college, did the college thing. Worked at Fortune 500 companies. Did those things, man. Had it popping and all that stuff. But I also had a dual life. I had a life where, I was this nerd guy, but at nighttime I was this street guy, and I happened to get strung. I'm in these suits and ties. I'm working in Bantam Double Dandale. I'm at 225th and White Plains Road in the Bronx, and the same platform I was catching my trains to go through corporate America was the first time when I hit my bottom on drugs. I picked up a pizza and started eating off the ground. It's amazing, wound up on the second floor fire escape in North Philadelphia with a 357, getting ready to blow my brains out. Jesus Christ came to save me. He gave me the scripture. I said, if you get me out of this, I'll never make people feel the way I feel. And he gave me the scripture, after you're converted, go back and strengthen your brothers. So I go back. So people who were just like me, I thought those 20 years of drugs and prison and all this, I thought it was a waste of time. I thought my life, I was at a place where I didn't think I could be capable of ever being a normal person, getting up. I hated the daytime. I hated all that stuff. And what really made me wanted to stop drugs wasn't the fact that I was using drugs. It was the voices that was coming at me, and God delivered me. And he said, go back, after you converted, go back and strengthen your brothers. So really, even though I do fintech, I have an incubation program, but my ministry is for housing homeless guys coming out of prison off of drugs, substance abuse. And I understand my business will fund my ministry so that it can be self-sufficient, that I can run it the way I want. So I wound up, so I allowed God to use me in the ways that he wants to use me. So with my fintech company, real quick story. In prison and all that stuff, I knew it was one person that wasn't going to fire me. Okay. I knew it was one person that I could put down. I've been in prison. I had a 3-5 year sentence. I knew one person that was going to hire me and didn't judge me was me. I was in Goldsboro, North Carolina, just got out of a discipleship program, and I'm telling you, listen, as entrepreneurs, this idea that we have, evaluating your ideas and bringing it to reality, right? That's what we do, right? We have a responsibility to make this gift and talent that we have to multiply it, right? And at the time, this was back in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000, and all these churches and organizations, they wanted to get their nonprofits, especially a lot of Black organizations and stuff like that. But it was like $2,000, and they didn't know how to, they didn't have the money, this and that. So what I did was, remember, if you solve an identifiable problem that has value to your customers, but cost is not issue, I self-taught myself how to do the 1023 form, to do the articles of incorporation, to do bylaws and do tax. And I did my first one, right? And I charged $500. And they sent back all these questions. And I got to tell the story how it is, because I'm telling you about entrepreneurship. And they sent back all these questions that I had to answer. They needed more information. They made one mistake, though. On this form, on this letter, it had the rep's name, the IRS agent's name. Okay. So I called the IRS agent, and guess what he did?
What did he do, right?
He gave me the answers to all 15 questions. Come on, you got to stay with me. I'm going somewhere real quick. So I answered the question. I sent them back in, and I realized, okay, listen. So I did another one. It was 10 questions. I called them. They gave me the answer. Then it was 5, and then I knew how to do this thing. Guess what? So I was charging $500, right? I was doing 4 a week, and guess what? It was taking me 40 minutes to do your whole 501c3 application from an idea. And you're talking about cost. Listen, I always tell people there's 22 different type of business models. You have to pick the right business model. The particular business model that I picked, I went to Rent-A-Center, got a computer, and I started with no capital because the model I picked, it didn't take a lot of capital to get started. It didn't take a lot of equipment to get started. It didn't take a lot of marketing to get started. It didn't have to take none of that stuff. So that's my story, and I'm gonna stick with it. And and what happened was, as I was doing that, I actually opened up my house for homeless people, for guys coming out of prison. I got started working on Going Home initiative under the President Bush. I was getting guys from prison, and I was housing them in my house. You know what I'm saying? So from this idea, I created income, and with the contract with Going Home initiative, it was giving me a certain amount for each client. I was like, wow. So when I got these people that 501c3s, I started realizing this. They didn't know what to do with them. Yeah. Oh. So guess what I did? I started I started an incubation program. Now, a lot of people don't know what an incubation program is, but you should know. But especially those that are doing Airbnbs, because they didn't take off until they went through an incubation program. So we got to get out of this system. But anyway, so I said, guess what? So I started training their board members. I started training them how to do proposals, and I was charging them $200 a month.
200,000.
200? No, 200 a month.
All right, I was saying 200,000.
200. So what I'm saying is, so all this stuff though that I was doing for business wise was going to my ministry.
Yeah.
And I can tell you stories how I worked after Katrina, got an 8-unit apartment complex. You got to understand something about banks too. Banks that had this property, 8-unit, had this apartment complex. They couldn't get rid of it for 2-3 years. They had a connection with the city. They got me in there. They did a bond for deed. A bond for deed is this access if I'm owning it myself with no money down. 8-unit apartment complex, and they gave me $20,000 startup because guess what? Banks can't own property. And a lot of us don't know that, and we need to get. And if we work off a bond for deed, right? So it's a $1.2 million property that I put no money down because I went through a bond for deed where I didn't need to put money down. And here's the good part: if you look for 60 consecutive payments, they'll give you the remaining of the balance of the loan, right? But if you choose to, for instance, you run into financial trouble, you can actually give it back without any penalties. Wow.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, there's a lot to unpack, and I listen actively, so I have questions. First things first, right? A bond for deed.
Yeah,
that's what you said. So
bond for deed.
Walk me through a bond for deed. Is that basically I go to the government, I say I want a bond for deed, and they give you. You give them a bond and they give you a deed, and then that deed entitles you to that property.
I go to the bank.
Okay.
And see, I didn't know this because the bank actually came to me with the proposal. I go to the bank. A bond for deed is as if you're buying the property outright. But inside that bond for deed, you had a bond and a deed. You have the deed, but you have to make 60 consecutive payments on time.
Mhm.
After the 60th payment, then the bank will give you the balance in a loan for the property.
Those
But in
60,
those 60 payments,
those
yeah,
those
my
60
contract
consecutive
was 60.
payments,
My contract was 60 payments.
right? So does it have to always be 60, or can it be less or more?
No, it could be whatever you negotiate. It just
Okay,
happened to be
okay.
was 60. So long as I paid on time for the 60 months, right, I was good. If anything happened and I fell behind, I had an out where I can actually get a property back with no penalty.
Okay.
But the key part that I found out was banks can't own property. So
That
the
was my
longer they
next
own,
question. Please talk to me about that, because
so
I
the
never knew
longer,
that.
yeah, I never knew that neither. So it's like the longer they hold on property, they actually start getting penalized. That's how it was explained to me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Right.
just telling you what they told me. All right.
Mhm.
So that's how that works. And the rest was history. And then we had our unit complex. We had the street in New Orleans. We had just started housing 100-something people after Katrina. Then we started housing homeless people, right? And it took off from there. And the other side, if you want to talk about, do you want me to tell you about the fintech right now?
Do you know what? Just as it comes to you, talk, because I'm gonna
Okay, yeah.
ask you
So
questions as
I'll
well.
close. Yeah.
So
So my real purpose is helping. God allowed me to create a program based on my lifestyle, based on all the rehab, detoxes, homelessness, eating out of trash, all that stuff. He allowed me to create a program. I took the good and the bad, and I created something called the Shared Living Program, where actually our clients allow us to come to work. It is we call them members. It's a member-driven program.
mhm.
Kingdom-based. I'm a kingdom-driven entrepreneur. Our programs are kingdom-based through kingdom principles, kingdom economics, and it's a 4-tier program: supportive living 1, supportive living 2, independent living 1, and independent living 2. Because a lot of times when they have these homeless programs, or they have shelters, or they have group homes and stuff like that, what they do is they throw everybody into one building. They throw everybody into one dorm. You have high functioning, low functioning, medium functioning. High functioning is being frustrated by low functioning. Low functioning is frustrating high functioning. The people in the middle is getting frustrated by everybody. So what we have done, created a model that allows us, based on people's skill set, that's what particular tier they go through. So if, for instance, our supported living 1 is the lowest tier, especially if we're dealing with mental clients, that house is always going to be crazy, because that's the lowest functioning people we have. Hard, taking medication, blah, blah, but it does not affect the rest of the program. But here's the understanding. Because it's supported living 1, we don't have an organization. We have an organism. And our program
Wait. Hold up. We don't have an organization. We have an organism. Is that what you said?
Exactly.
Bars.
That's what I said.
Please continue. I just had to highlight that part, but
Yeah,
please continue.
because our client, our members change. You can't expect people with mental illness or people who've been on drugs for 20, 30 years to just come in this cookie cutter in 30 days. Oh, you can't get high, you can't drink. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So based on our population in each particular house or facility, we change according to them.
I see. Hence the
You see
organism.
what I'm saying? Because it's individualized. You see, what might work for you don't work for the next guy, but because y'all on the same level, right? You don't get frustrated when you see somebody get a privilege and you don't get that privilege, but you get a privilege for yourself. So it balances itself out. So we change based on the population. We don't make the population change to us.
Change based on the population. You don't make the population change to us. I see. So the adaptation, hence the organism, hence it's not an organization. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
And it's the same way with business. Same exact. Our fintech, our incubators, accelerator, we're organisms. Because every time we have new students, right, they're not the same.
Yeah.
They're looking for the same results, but all of them can't get you there the same way.
Right. I got questions. Questions upon questions upon questions. First things first, you were working in corporate America, right? And
Oh,
then
good.
somehow, somewhere along the way, what happened that took you off that path into getting into a habit?
I was always getting high. I was getting high since high school. It just, I was, so I go to college, right? I go to college. Right? I was supposed to go to an all black college, but that's another thing. Me and my girlfriend, who's my wife now, right? I switched up, wanted to stay closer to home. But anyway, so I go to this all white school, right? Division three in Trenton State College in Trenton. It's all white, right? About
Mm-hmm.
a couple hundred black folk. But, got these white folks, they got all this stuff. And, my mom could only send me like maybe $25 a week, right? I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in the project. But I also, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I told you I lived a dual life. So
Exactly. It was that dual life thing.
about after two times my mom sent me $25, I came home. I came home for the weekend and picked me up a quarter pound of weed and took it back to school. So Mom, you don't have to send me $25 no more. I'm good. I'm just telling you something. People want to be transparent. Ain't no different than a Rockefeller. Ain't no listen. You ever hear the movie Spook That Sat by the Door?
No.
You gotta look at that movie. It's a black guy went through the CIA for 3 years. He was the only black guy. He got all the information from the CIA, came back to Chicago, and started a revolution based on what the CIA told. So I'm the same way. Yeah. So I was up in corporate America. Right? Everything they taught me. The most dangerous person in America really is a black man with a college education from the ghetto, because we looking at their games is the same thing we've been doing since we've been growing up. But anyway, right? This before I got saved. But listen, all that is entrepreneurship.
Mm.
It might be on the wrong side, but guess what? It was developing my business skills. Selling drugs, that was developing my business skills. When I was in prison, that was developing my business skills. Right? The things I was going to was developing my personal development, was doing all that stuff, right? Because there's three components I believe is in business. One is business development, when we talk about the four S's: your structure, strategy, system, and sales. Number two is building business credit, business funding, making sure people can offer consumer finances for big ticket items. And three, personal development. And I understand in all three of those things. Like when I first started off, I was lacking in each one. One time I had $100,000, right? But I knew nothing about business development. I had the capital, no business development, no personal development, right? And I went through $100,000 in like 6 months. But I thought I was doing right. I got these two properties. I'm fixing up to do rentals, right? Not realizing these are commercial properties. I'm fixing them up like I'm gonna live there.
Gotcha.
Paint, $200, $5 paint. Screen door, $400.
Furniture, TV.
Yeah. And wonder why I'm real short, right?
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And then when I realized what I was doing, by that time, money was gone. I said that'll never happen again. Well, I got another $125,000. The same thing happened. Here's the other thing that really got me started. Like when I was doing the reentry, right, with Going Home Initiative, I'm killing it. I'm the number one person housing people coming out of prison, right? They said, we got a grant for you, right? They sent me over the RFP and everything, 250 grand. It's yours, just fill it up. I wasn't prepared, didn't have none of my paperwork in order. And I said to myself, that will never happen again. That's why I'm so adamant about my incubation program, acceleration. Incubation program started back in 1980s in Philly.
Yeah.
That's laying the foundation, your structure, strategy, system, and sales, your 4S's, your structure. Of course, we know about the LLCs and S Corps and all that, but do we understand about there's 25 different business models? There's 7 criteria for the model. Most of us don't reach our revenue or potential because we don't understand what that model is. When we talk about strategy, we're talking about pricing. I ask people all the time, okay, how did you get that price? Where did that price come from? You know, so when I understand, let me back up for a minute when you talk about structure, because you talk about, you got to get this business model, get this business model. Well, if you're a new startup, you're wasting your time doing a business model. One, it's full of assumptions and it's full of what ifs. That's the first thing.
True that.
You get somebody to write it for you. You're doing all the work and they don't know nothing about your business.
True that.
So even let me go back up a little bit, right? So what do I need to do? First of all, I need to have an operational plan that's going to guide me and give me the statistical data that I need to put into the business plan. Secondly, I need to develop my business model. Why? And my revenue model. Why? Because that's also going to give me the statistical data to put into the business plan. That's why most of the time people write business plan, they throw away because my business model is hypothesis. I need to validate my hypothesis. Right? You can use the lean model, which a lot of people don't like to use no more. Use the lean model. It's an experimental approach. So you don't waste your money. If you do an experimental approach and then you see what's working, what don't work, and then you launch your business, right? So you don't waste all these thousands of dollars. So I got my statistic, got my data from my business model, from my revenue model, and from my operational plan. Now I'm going to write my business plan. Okay, inside my business plan, what about when I talk about structure strategy? My strategy is nothing but my pricing. 3 different types of way to price. How do I price my pricing? Listen, people, the big thing now is 6 figures. You got to make 6 figures. You got to make 6 figures. Well, I'm going to ask you, did you make 6 figures or did you make 6 figures? Which one is it? So let me give you real quick. Let me just break this thing down, right? I want to let's break this thing down. If
break
you
it
really,
down, Ray.
at some point, you got to run your business like a business. Let's break this thing down. I want to make $100,000, right? I want to make $100,000. So, but I want to set my business up properly. So I know I got to set my business up with employment taxes, meaning Social Security, Medicaid. I got to set up with health benefits. I got to set up with retirement benefits. I got to set it up with disability and insurance, office expenses, automobile expenses, market expenses, and educational expenses. If I gave you the numbers, that would add up to $175,000. So I need to know. I know for me to make 6 figures, I need to make $175,000, $2,000. Okay, but where do I get that number from? So listen, now we're talking about setting up our business properly, right? How many billable days do I have? Especially if I'm coaching, consulting, all that stuff. How many billable days do I have? If I want to set my business up properly, here we go. Number of working days. We're going 5 days a week, so that leaves us with 260 days. If you take out holidays, 14 days, vacation days, 20 days, personal days, 5 days, marketing administrative days, 96. So I actually came up with 125 billable days in a year to be able to create my budget, to actually get an actual price to reach what I'm looking for. Watch this. And when I make my budget and when I get those numbers, right, I'm only going to make my budget 85%, not 100%, because now I have 15% leeway in case of unexpected or in case I need to do something different.
And there you have it, just like that. There you have it, just like that. The couple things, you're right. The couple things you mentioned.
Go ahead.
No, please continue.
You got the systems. What processes do I have in place, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in my office one day, right, in my program, and I'm thinking, well, McDonald's can have franchises, right? Burger King can have franchises. Franchise like 25,000, 3,000. So I said, well, if somebody want to do housing like this, they ain't gonna have no 25,000. So I developed what we call a pod program to train you how to do housing for people coming out of prison. And your startup cost is 5,000. Administrative fee is 5,000. Another 4,000 to get you going for a house with 4 clients to get you going. But now I can franchise this thing out. So now I just train you through my pod program, set you up. And if you want to create housing program for yourself, we set you up. And listen, You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So with the same thing they do, we just do it a little differently. So it's affordable for our people. You heard me?
You heard me? Drop that mic, Ray. Jeez. Jeez. If this was a club, the DJ would be like, yo, gems, Ray, gems. Well, I got a couple questions. Shout out to Swedish Gems. I saw her come in. Shout out to everyone who's still rocking with us. Okay, so first things first, a couple things you mentioned. You mentioned what's it called? The lean model. For everyone who's listening, the lean model is basically this. It's when you have a business idea, but you haven't yet validated it. So instead of going the full way, you decide to create what you call a minimum viable product. I like to call it a minimum viable test. I'll give you a perfect example. Say I want to set up a restaurant. Instead of me going to get the property, going to get the waiters, getting the systems and all that sort of stuff, which is probably going to cost me, say, $150K to $200K. Instead, I could go outside of a club, get my permit, set up a little shack, and have a couple of my meals there. So if people come outside after the club, they come out and they're like, yo, this is dope. This is dope. I know from that minimal viable test that I do have an audience that likes this. I do it for maybe a month and I sell out every night. Then I know, okay, cool. I could set up a small shop first. People funnel their way to that shop, probably close to that club because that looks like it's a great location. And then people come in. If that grows, then I can now replicate that in a different place. So minimal viable test first with the least amount of capital intensive to then, if it's successful, then you can go a little bit bigger. If that's successful, then a little bit bigger. So I use the restaurant because that is something which is a very easy way for people to see. It's very capital intensive, but if you start out with like a small version of it, that minimal viable test, then it goes bigger. You can then take it forward. So that's the lean model, and you can apply it to any business, be it service or be it be it service or be it products. So that was the first thing I wanted to say for some people who may be listening. I might not be sure what that meant. The second thing I wanted to say, Ray, was when you said, did you make six figures or did you make six figures? I'm going to sit up for this one. You get a bunch of people who will say, oh, yeah, six figures this, six figures that. Six figures gross is very different from six figures net. I'm going to say that again. You making 100K gross is different from me saying I made 100K net profit. 100K gross profit can be made and you still have 90K of costs to pay off. Meaning you only made 10K realistically, right? Whereas 100K net profit means after all the costs, I actually made 100K net profit that I can then take out and do stuff with. So that was another thing that Ray said that they didn't want people to miss. Because a bunch of people on the internet and in real life, they were like, yeah, six figures this, seven figures that, eight figures this, and like Millie rocking and everything. Like, Which one was it? Was it net or was it in sales? Because the language is different depending on you knowing what the person is saying. The language is different. So those are just the two things I wanted to say. Ray, this is just a bunch of gems that you've been dropping out here, sir. A bunch of gems. So how did you get into? Oh, first of all, do you not kind of need like some sort of license before you could like house people, especially if they were coming out of prison?
Well, so if you're doing a group home, you need to get your group home license. If you're doing a residential, you need to get it licensed. If you're doing a halfway house, you need to get it licensed. But what I do is a shared living program. So when I look up state laws of housing and this and that in the city of New Orleans, when I first had to house people, so I looked that up. So there's nothing under shared living that you need a license. Actually, Department of Health and Human Services, somebody actually complaint that said I was running an unlicensed residential center. So they came out and they actually stayed for a whole week, went through my books, went through the set, went through everything. They said, well, Ray, we don't know what you're running here, but it's not a group home resident. We don't know what you're doing, so we're going to go back and we're going to have to try to figure out what type of license we can make up for you. I said, you don't have to do me no favors. So it actually, in reality, it actually depends on the county, the city, the state, what license that you need for group homes, residential, this like that, and what is their terminology of shared living. You can have up to 6 people, non-family members in one building where it doesn't need a license. So that actually depends on the county itself. But whenever we start somebody else, we always tell them 4, because naturally, majority, 99% of all counties and stuff like that, 4 is a maximum that you can use without having to be licensed as a group home or anything.
I see. So 4 is a maximum. So in your program, what you do, you set people up with the property. You set them up with, I guess, the clients, because the four, I guess it's 4 people coming in, or you don't set them up with.
We don't do none of it. No, we do it.
Yeah, run me through the play.
So they would sign up for the pod program. The first thing we do is take them through the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick on paperwork, mission statement, all this stuff, license, all this stuff, paperwork first. Then, because I've been doing it so long, then we start showing you where the resources are. Let me give you an example. We had 3 young ladies that was going through the pod program. All 3 of them wanted to house women coming out of prison. And this is another thing we need to think about. So one was in New Jersey, one was in Atlanta, and the other 2 was in Atlanta, but they wanted to do it in Florida. Mm-hmm. I said, well, why don't all 3 of y'all just come together under one umbrella? You have one name and you have 3 divisions. You have a division in Atlanta, Florida, and New Jersey. So they did that. So they were going for a contract with Georgia Department of Correction. Okay. So we filled out they went through the training. They went through my training, right? Mm-hmm. Filled out the contract, got accepted, went through the training program. They sat there and they said, you know what? They could have taught it because we had them totally prepared. So now they're getting a contract with reentry with Georgia Department of Correction, who will then start funneling people to them. But they had to go find their own house, right? We got all the papers, certain things they have to do on their own, like go find your own house. Now, of course, they asked me for my input and stuff like that. But go find your own house. Let's find out what laws, how many people you can have, blah 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 blah. So we don't get them the house. They get their own house. We don't get their clients, but we connect them where they're able to get their clients. We do everything paperwork wise. They got everything, forms, assessments, all that stuff. They have all that. That's why I say the process, right? When you talk about process, the system, the same system that we just teach them our system, right? Yeah. They teach them the foundation. They can build on that foundation any way they want, but they have to have the foundation, the basic stuff that you need to have done. So that's what we do. We teach them that, just like McDonald's, they find their own stuff like that. So, but we're there with them. The difference between our program, they have access to me. I don't do no more than 4 or 5 people at a time, business at a time for the pod program. So I keep everything very limited, very personal. And then here's the great thing. The people who have went through the program actually then are the ones who's best to coach, mentor the people coming through the program.
That's a fact, because you've already been through it. So you're the great ambassador for it. That makes sense. That cycle keeps going. Yeah, that makes sense. Dope. And that is your POP program.
Pod. P-O-D.
Pod. P-O-D. Gotcha. So what is the next one up? Because I think you mentioned a couple of them. So what's the next one up from the pod program?
So when you talk about our Fintech company, we actually purchased, I don't know if you guys are familiar, Nove. I purchased a franchise from Nove. Actually, Nove is an Inc. 5000 company that actually 2,134 out of 7 million or 7 billion businesses in America, black owned. And so with our fintech, right, we have what we call our business suite. First, let me explain what a fintech is it financial and technology. Those two words.
Yeah.
And it helps consumers or financial institutes deliver financial service in a newer, faster way that aren't traditional. Meaning, I don't need to have to go into a bank to get a loan now. Okay. So when we talk about our business suite, for instance, we have 8 funding sources. We have over 30 to 60 lenders. So you go through so in that process, bam, you get the application, then 5 minutes, you might have 10, 15, 20 offers, So in our business suite, the first thing we do, we make sure that we start dealing with your setting you up properly, making sure you have your DUNS number and all that stuff that's in place. Within the first 60 days, we start making sure that you can get business funding through your trade lines and upfront cash. Our main thing is to start building your business credit. Everything is totally automated. That means you have your own portal. We have a back office with lending. We have our financial department. We have our customer service department. We also have our specialists. We also have credit repair lawyers. We don't call it credit repair. We do credit building. Okay, so that's the one process that we take in place. Make sure on your business side, you're building business credit, you're getting business funding, that you're able to get business loans. We also make sure that we have a consumer financing, where we can set you up to do consumer financing for your high ticket items. You can do direct to merchant, meaning they sign up for it, they get approved with the lender. The lender sends you the money within 72 hours, but you can only finance up to about $35,000. You have direct to customer, you can finance up to $100,000, but the money goes to the customer and then comes to you. So a lot of stuff that you can do, you can get people with no money down. I mean, especially during these times, if a person can afford $5,400, but if they have an option that they can get $5,400 finance with a low rate, or you can pay out without a penalty, a lot of people are doing that. So inside the business suite, that's the one area. And then the second area in the business suite, what we do is you go to a
Uh-oh.
You go through
Okay, cool.
determining your business model and strategies. We actually help you set up your business model and your strategies. So in that same process, we do personal development, the 4 C's, your commitment, courage, capability, and confidence. So we deal with stuff like when everybody talking about scaling. Okay, well, it's a couple of ways you scale. You can scale for growth. Are you scaling for growth, or you scaling to scale? Because if you're scaling for growth, you're going to make more money, but you're going to take a hit because you're going to have to add more resources. 70, and this is what people don't know, 70 to 74% of all small businesses that try to scale up fail. Or do you scale to scale? Understanding with the least amount of resources. Example, if I'm sending out 10 emails a month, well, I want to scale up. Well, I send out 10,000. Well, it doesn't cost any extra resources for me to scale. And then you know what I'm saying? So we have to know the difference when we talk about scaling. Which one are you scaling for growth? Because if you're scaling for growth, you should have 5 triggers that trigger you to know it's time for you to scale. And then you need to make sure you have the capital to scale. So those are the things that we teach. We took also entrepreneurship for business owners. There is a difference. There is a mindset difference. At what point do I transition from an entrepreneur to a business owner? And then we talk about the wealth gap. If we're talking ethnicities, if we're talking about black folk, there's this wealth gap in America, right? So we'll never, watch this, never decrease the wealth gap if we don't understand this. There's 2.5 million black-owned businesses in America, right? But the problem is 1.8 million don't have no employees at all. So you have about 1,800 something black-owned businesses that are driving all the revenue because they're hiring people. We're missing 6 million jobs, right? We're missing 1.2 million businesses that can hire people. And the biggest thing, we're missing $8 billion of revenue, a net revenue, because we're not scaling up hiring people, and no one is teaching us how to do that in order to develop that wealth gap. And most importantly, we asked our people, what is it that you really want to do? And most people, most business owners, entrepreneurs, there's something they want to do, and we let them know, and I let them know. The reason I do my business is to fund my purpose.
Yeah.
So that's the fintech side. We deal with all three of those components. Of course, we talked about the POD program, and that's what we do here.
That is dope. So the question I was going to ask, or the question I had, first question before the other ones is, so when you do, I think you said it was merchant to consumer.
Uh-huh.
So that is for people who say, let's just say I have a high ticket program, and that high ticket program is, say, 50K, right? And just like Myron, you can go through the funding process where you pay $2,000 to me as your kind of deposit, and then if you get approved by the lender, you get the other 48 G's to then pay me. Is that it?
It's like this. Okay, so for our direct to merchant is a little different. When they put in the application, it goes directly to the lender.
Mm-hmm.
Once the lender shoots back if you're approved or not, then the finance department calls you up and let you know these are your options. If they agree to the options, of course, we send them out a commitment letter and all the paperwork before all that stuff happens. So the money would go from the lender to the consumer, then they pay us. Here's the thing. The payback is between the lender and the consumer, and we're not in the middle of it.
I see.
So for us to even fill out the application for our consumer financing, we don't charge, because it's going to be between you and the lender.
And what do you need to qualify? Like, say myself as a business, what do we need to qualify for us to be able to work with a lender that allows us to offer that service to potential customers and clients?
So if you do a direct to merchant, you as the business owner, of course, you have to have all your paperwork, your articles, tax ID number, bank account, a minimum of a 620 FICA credit score with TransUnion. Bam. And then watch this. It's unverifiable income. You have to make at least 200,000 income, right? But it's unverifiable. You can actually do it at projections. It's not verifiable. They don't verify what you put, but you have to show you either made or you're going to make 250,000 for that.
Or you got a projection to make it.
Right. For the direct to client one, you just fill out our application and we set you up for $495. Because it's a little different. Because the merchant is paying you within 72 hours. The client is paying you within 72 hours with the client one. So it's a little different.
I see. That's interesting.
And actually, you can actually do both of them at the same time, because your high ticket item that's over 35, you might want to do the direct to client, and you got all the paperwork and all that stuff in there.
Interesting, because it's interesting because I can't remember, there was a conversation we were having and somebody suggested that, and I was like, that is actually true. I think it was myself and Christine Number Curls. I think it was myself and Christine, and she mentioned it, and she was like, "Why don't you have that?" And I was like, I need to look into that. And now that you mentioned it, it just rejogged that memory again. And I think we may have a conversation behind the scenes about that.
If you go to my page, boy, you'd be like, "Oh my God, And I knew Ray all this time, and he's sitting on a gym, and look,
Exactly.
here's what's funny, right? We have an affiliate program for businesses, right? So it's actually $5,400 for our business suite. So you get $11,000 worth of services, $5,400, right? So for our affiliates, right? Business affiliates, we also I didn't mean to tell you, we also throw in personal business funding, business building also with the business suite. So we take care of you, because a lot of entrepreneurs, we need to build our credit, right? So we actually throw that in too, right? So in our business, in our affiliate program for businesses, in the first 90 days, if you sell five business suites, we actually give you the business suite free.
Okay.
And it's a 5-year process. So I mean, and here's in each business suite that you sell, you only make $1,200 on each business suite. That's all. So for me, when people talk about capital, I had a conversation with a guy, and I just got my contract with. He said, "Well, if you need some help with, hiring people over there," I said, "Well, actually, aren't you one of my affiliates? You can. I'm just saying." We keep talking about we can't get capital. Do we want to work for the capital, or that? I mean, I'm just saying. If and I'm not promoting anything, I'm just giving some numbers.
We're speaking hypothetically.
Hypothetically, if I could sell 5 business suites a month, which I don't really sell them, because I just put the person on the line and we do all the work. And if they sign up, you get paid, right? So that's $5,000 a month for actually not really doing anything.
Actually, no, it's more, because you said it's 1,200, right?
Yeah, it's actually more. I'm just saying, about 6,000. Yeah, it's 6,000-7,000. So we can't keep saying that we have a capital problem. Now here goes the other thing. I do stuff, right? And I'm 63, and I'm being transparent. So me personally, I went through about 5 different contracts, because I certain things I can't do. I was born in the 60s and 50s, right? Now, I don't have the solution for stuff in 2022. Younger folks, y'all have that. I have the experience of how to do stuff, right? Yeah. But technology, I can do stuff, but not at the rate that I need it to be done, right?
Yeah.
So my thinking has always been, listen, I'm going to match your experience. We sit down and we say, your CEO and this and that. I'm going to give you 20% of the company based on your experience. Mm-hmm. And the only thing you have to do is produce. And we'll start dividing the each quarter, we'll divide the profit, right? You get your 20%. But before we do that, we got to make sure we keep at least 20,000 in the bank. Here's my problem. I've had people I brought on board. They don't see the bigger picture, because you're doing something over here that's your baby, right? Mm-hmm. That's why I say there's a difference between being a business owner and entrepreneur. As a business owner, I'm going to focus on my business.
Yes.
I'm going to raise capital for my entrepreneur stuff on the side. Because if I'm in a $1 billion industry and I have the opportunity to do what I'm doing and perfect it in a company and get paid for it.
So whether you're a business owner providing a service, or you're an e-commerce business with products, you need a website. The most common problems that I hear from business owners are they don't know where to start, or they're confused with all this person said this, that guru said that. It's all information overload, and it's forcing you to leave money on the table and not grow as quickly as you would like. Okay, let's bring some clarity to the situation. You're a business owner, which means your website is an asset that's meant to work for you round the clock, no lunch breaks. It should position you as the expert, attract the right type of customers, and have a system in place for those potential customers to book you for appointments, pay you for consultations and other services, as well as buy your products on your website. And even when someone doesn't pay you right there and then, it should have a follow-up system in place that allows you to collect that lead and then convert that lead later on down the line. And all of this needs to happen automatically in the background. Now, high performance businesses are the type of clients who tend to need these solutions, and they're the type of clients we already work with. So if you're in the 5-figure range, or you're already doing 6 to 7 figures, but you know you're not yet taking full advantage of the internet in the way that's right for your particular business, the solution is this. You need a high performance client attraction website for your high performance business. One that's custom made to work for you 24/7, whilst you focus on growing and scaling your business. So go to www.oyemadeit.com/performance, select the option for web design. Alternatively, you can go and click the link in the description, or there should be a link in my bio on Instagram. Remember, this is not for everyone. This is for businesses who are looking to level up, scale up their business, and stop leaving money on the table. We work with businesses that are a right fit and those that we believe we can help achieve their business and financial goals. So that's oyemadeit.com, oyemadeit.com/performance, or there should be a link in the description below, or there's the link in my bio on Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you and working with you. Now, let's get back to the episode.
But the problem I see for me, and it's not just me, I'm just, don't nobody kill me. People, I sacrifice race outreach in New Orleans. I volunteered for 6 months. The owner did, I would come in before the regular people, I would leave before the regular people, I was producing and all that. He did not even know he wasn't paying for 6 months. I was volunteering. And when he hired me as a counselor in training. Then I got promoted to program manager. Then I got promoted to director. Then I got promoted to executive director, where everything went through me because I sacrificed for 6 months another man's vision. That's why I needed that. Pastor, no, I got to give him a shout. To this day, he can call me for anything because it wasn't for him, right? And what I did was, this is what I did. I created a tap-up system. What that means was before you made a decision, you had to tap it up. So an employee would tap it up to the supervisor, the supervisor tap it up to me, then I tap it up to him. So that process kept going. And then one day, I tapped it up to him and he said, well, what do you think? I said, I think we should do this. Because he could trust me that he knew I knew how he thought. He knew I wasn't going to do anything that was going to hurt the company. From that moment on, I got the freedom because he could trust that I had the company's best interest and I know how he thought. And that's one thing I think we have missing a lot of times. How does that visionary think? And allowing that visionary the opportunity. His whole thing was just give him the opportunity to make a decision in his business. And that's what I did.
Man, what's his name? Pastor Noah, did you say?
Pastor Noah. Pastor Noah.
Shout out to Pastor Noah. Shout out to him for real. Because he was part of your journey, you know? And that then brings me to the other question, which is this. Going back to your dual life, like, I want to talk about the middle. We know where we started. We now know where you're at and where you're going. That part in between where you had to overcome some challenges and some obstacles. What gave you the wherewithal to say, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to go through these things. And at the end of it, here's what I'm going to do.
Well, like when I wound on that second floor fire escape, I was just tired. I just I had nothing else in me. You know, let me back up because I was selling out this house in Broad and Gerard. Was in a couple of shootouts that week last 2 weeks. There was I accidentally sold to undercover agents. When I looked out the window, there was a narc sitting in their cars, and then there was the stick-up boys on the other corner. And I heard a voice say, "If you don't leave this place, you're either going to die or go to jail for life." And I left that, and I just got to a point where I couldn't do it no more. I can't explain it, but I knew one thing. It's the only thing I knew. I'm better than this. When I came to that point in my life, after I had the encounter with Christ and all that stuff, but I came to my point in my life, and I looked around, and I said, I'm better than this. When I really, really, really knew that I was better than this, and there was a purpose for my life. And the purpose for my life was to go back and strengthen those who were just like me. When that became life to me, is when that changed. That's when my life changed. I went to a disciples program in North Carolina, and I'm sitting in there, and I knew one thing: if I didn't get Jesus Christ in my life, I would die. Period. So while the other guys was, taking breaks and doing all that stuff, the only thing I did for 365 days was pray and study. And that's all I know. I read the Bible and I just believed it. Period. It's just that simple. And when I got to that point in my life, and the most important thing was, one day I told God I didn't trust him. I said, I had this hustle. I had this one hustle. No matter what was going on, I can always use this hustle and get paid. And I didn't want to give that up. And I told God, I don't trust you enough to give this up. I don't trust you enough that you can take care of me. I just don't trust you. You gotta remember, I was converting from Islam to Christianity. I said, I just don't trust you. And he said, okay. And then things started happening where he was showing me that I could trust him, but he was always there when the guy pulled out the gun and the gun jammed. When the guy pulled out the gun and started firing, and he just didn't happen to look your way. And then it was so many incidents, right? But when I got to that place, I just couldn't do it no more. And then I understood why I was created. That's when my life changed. I had a purpose. I understood the things that I went through for those 20 years that I thought was meaningless and senseless. It was for a purpose, so that I could sit in front of somebody, and the one thing they can't say while I'm talking to them is, I don't know how they feel. And when I got to that place, then my test, my training was over. And then God propelled me into what I am now.
That's powerful, sir. That's powerful. You found your purpose, and your purpose propelled you.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah. That's it.
Yo. It's like, your story is so dope. Like, your story of overcoming is so dope. Like, it really is. It really is. It's a dope story, my man. It's so dope. I do appreciate and respect everything that you've been through, and respect everything you're doing. Really appreciate it.
You want to hear something so powerful, though?
Talk to me.
Let me tell you something so powerful. Your story is more powerful than mine. I'm gonna leave it at that.
You read that our stories are powerful together.
Exactly.
Our stories are powerful together. Yo. Now, my other question
that
I'd like to pivot into: how did you end up working with Homeland Security? Because, to be honest, when I read that, like, everything that came into my head was Mission Impossible, James Bond, like what's the other guy? Jason Bourne. Like all those guys came into my head. 24, Jack Bauer, those are all the characters that came into my head. Like Homeland Security.
Okay. You want to hear that? Okay.
Talk to us, Ray.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna say, if you have an idea, if God truly gave you an idea, He will make the provisions for you if you put in the work. And I'm gonna share this. Stop grinding. Grinding is hard work. When you look at the definition of grind, man, grind. I used to say, man, I say when I get the glory, I won't rest till I get the glory. But grace ain't hard.
Ooh.
The ability to do the will of God for your life. See, and I gotta say this perfectly. I gotta do this before I get into what I'm going to say, because grace will put you in places where money, with favor, will overtake money. Mm-hmm.
Nice to us. Talk nice to us, right?
So here we go.
Let's go.
So I got my guy Tyrone Kill. That's my guy. You know, I'm in New Orleans. It's after Katrina. You know, I got a little house. I was with Pastor Noah. Then I went out on my own. I got a little housing thing. I got 6 clients. Right. My boy builds me up. So the director of homelessness, the city of New Orleans, called me up one day. Tyrone said, "Can you give me 35 beds?" Now, remember, I told you I got 6 beds. Can you give me 35 beds? Because we get ready to do this sweep underneath the bridge. It's about 200 homeless people. Can you give us 35 beds? I said, sure, no problem. They ain't had no 35 beds. So we're going to the bridge. We're going to the,
You only had 6.
I only had 6.
At this moment, you only had 6.
And they full. And they full. And I just committed to 35. Okay. Here we go. Let me they say no.
29.
Okay.
You needed to find 29
No,
beds.
I needed 35. Remember, the 6 was already full.
Oh yeah, the 6 was already full. So you need to get a whole new set of 35. Let's go.
I need a whole 35 beds. Okay.
Let's go.
We going through these meetings. So the big day comes. We go. Police come. We snatch them up. We doing this triage and everything, right? Guy told me, a friend of mine said, "Hey, look, I got this landlord." Now this after Katrina. Right?
Yeah.
So this guy's house, he had a couple of houses. They were just sitting there. He couldn't sitting there. You know, he couldn't rent them out because wasn't nobody around. So we had a conversation. I said, "Look, you give me these 2 houses, right? I'm working with the city. This is how much I'm gonna give you per house. A first check. You know how the city operate, blah blah. Because they know, I don't know how to city. Then we'll make it work." He agreed, right? So we get in there. So I got so each house had they were shotguns. So each house had 16. I got house 16 people. So that's 35, right? So I get that. Now, mind you, I still need 36 beds. Now I was only making $3,600 a month. So they said, "Well, Ray, can you give us another 35? I said, "Sure, but you won't have to buy the beds." So we're working with this place called Travelers Aid, and that's where we're doing the triage. They said, "No problem." So where I got my beds from this thrift store, whatever, we went and bought another 30 beds. They paid for it. So now
from the thrift store.
35. Yep, we got 35. Took them to look. Now we have 660 now, right? So I got 2 houses, 60. They say, "Ray, can you give us another 20 beds?" I said, "Sure." The landlord that I talked to had his boy call me who had another 2 houses. Couldn't do no. Listen. I'm telling you something. I ain't telling you something I heard.
You tell us as it happened, real time, real life.
I can bring witnesses, real time. I said, "Yeah, but y'all gotta give me the beds." So Travel Aid paid for the beds. I called my boy up and look, how many twin beds you got left? Man, look, I'm gonna need them all. By the time we got done, in a 24-hour period, they never seen this before. I housed 125 people.
From 35 to 125.
From 6 to 126 people in 48 hours.
Yo.
Okay, so now I got a name. Exodus House, I'm going to these meetings, Ray Wilkinson. Now, remember, no, none of these people, I'm not. One thing about New Orleans, if you're outsider, right, then you can't get nothing. So I actually, by the time they figured out who I was, it was too late. I was embedded, right? So I was known for housing. Hurricane come, call Ray. Hurricane.
All right.
So I was in Louisiana and then I started doing mental. That's where I got the 8-unit apartment complex. Then I got the old nursing home that held 100-something people. So my name is out there. Now we're going to get to Homeland Security. So Corona comes.
Like I could just picture like when it started, like the first landlord tell, yo, I got this play. Is your crib still unoccupied? Yo, I got this place. This guy called Ray. Like, you need to get with them. Like, I could just see that.
And that's how it went down, and it's still going down that way. So COVID-19 comes. My boy called me up because the lady now who was over homelessness in New Orleans. Now she over homelessness in the whole state of Louisiana. So they need me and my guy to come. Now it's beginning to go, man, I ain't coming down there. And then New Orleans was off the chain. I mean, New Orleans, COVID was like, I said, I ain't going down there. So they took 200-some homeless guys, people, and put them in hotels, right? And in the first week, they had like 7 ODs. So I don't mean to laugh because it was ODs, I'm just saying. So they called me back up again. They said, Ray, I need you down here back. So I talked to my wife. Now my wife has stage 4 cancer.
Right.
And she, went through some. Oh no, she good. She good. Because that's another story. She good. She died. They said she was supposed to be dead the next morning. She was one day. That was almost 3 years ago. Then she caught a seizure. I didn't know. I thought she had died on my upstairs. I thought that she was foaming at the mouth. I thought she was dead. I called 911. They put me on hold. Listen, listen. I don't care what nobody. I love God and all that stuff, but He wasn't my first thought to call on the Lord when I thought my wife was dead and I was on hold. I was like, oh, have they lost? I didn't know what to do. Right?
Jeez.
So they get her there and she stopped breathing. So they had to do an induced coma for 3 days. Right. So this was going. So by then I was like, I had got to the place where, because this was like the 3rd time they said she was going to die. I had got to the place where I was at peace. I said, well, God, if you take her, I'm good. If you don't, I'm good. So she comes out the coma, and they never seen this before. They think she's going to be there another week or so. She fully recovered the next day, and she goes home. She gets a brain operation. They said she's going to have to be there for 3 to 5 days because she would have to get her movement back and all that stuff. When they came in after the surgery, they asked her to move her legs. She's moving her legs and arms and stuff like that, right? And
they're looking at each other like, yo, this ain't supposed to be like this.
That's what she said. She said, Ray. I said, what? She said, they wrong. I said, what they do? I'm hungry. They ain't bring me no food. She was gone the next day. I sent a picture out on Facebook. Everybody just thought. So, anyway.
The miracle of God.
She says this. This is what she says. She says, Ray. Now, I'm telling you, I ain't going down there. She says, Ray, if you don't go, who will? That was it. So anyway, we did that major project and everything. Then Hurricane Ida came. We do that all stuff. Now Homeland Security is taking over Hurricane Ida. They call for me. They call for my guy. What was so amazing about that thing? We had to do the background check and all that stuff. I couldn't believe it. I passed the background check. I was like, oh, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, because I'm always thinking I got something on my record 20, 30 years ago, a secret indictment or something that'll pop up. So when they do a background check, if you clear that, it ain't nothing but God.
100%, sir.
So we actually, just having a reputation of being homeless across the country. And it's just like this project now. It's another project with FEMA and Homeland Security. And I want to tell my audience, and I wish, don't get fooled with the bling bling. Don't get fooled with seeing people in front of these big cars and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Because the exact person that you need, it's not going to look like the appearance as our ethnicity thinking what success look like. You see, because I'm in other groups and stuff like that, and they don't know who I am. But on a national level, I'm known.
That's a fact.
You see what I'm saying?
But
you would never know if you don't listen. I had a situation where where a guy, and I do this all the time. Guys tell me to look at his website. I'll send my website. I always take time and look at people's websites. Ways. Because it might be somebody I need or something like that. So the guy said, did you take a look at it? I said, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, have you had a chance to look at my website? Oh, not yet. So he hits me up he hits me up a couple days later. Yeah, I think blah, blah, blah. I said, well, have you looked at my website yet? He said, no, not yet. I said, well, then we really don't have nothing to talk about. If you don't value what I do to take at least 5 minutes to my website, what do we have to talk about? I guess he got offended because he texted me back. I was just trying to help you, brother. But you know nothing about me. How do you know you can help me? Or how do I know I can help you? Or how do you know that we can work together and do some bartering? You don't know nothing because you didn't take time out to take. So I say this to anybody listening, please, if I expect people to buy my product or service or anything like that, and want them to listen to what I have to say, then I need to value what you say, even if I don't need it.
Yeah.
Because it takes me less than 5 minutes to look at your site. And a lot of times we're not looking at people's site or website or getting to know what that person is, because a lot of people, I'm not saying a lot, there are people out there that's assigned to you, that's attached to you. They're not on the platform, but they got the power. And you got a lot of people on the platform with no power. See, I'd rather have the person that's not on the platform that got the power or the stuff that I need to take us to the next level, opposed to the person that got all the platform but ain't doing jack for nobody. Just saying. Don't. We could be on here 2, 4, 5 people. It doesn't matter to me because I'm one. If that one get it, that might be the one that I could give 20% of my business. Give. And they come in hungry, right? They come in hungry and they got all the resources. You got executive director, you got executive administrator, we got all that stuff in place. Just that one person come in and start running because he took time out or she took time out to try to take a chance on something but let me put it like this. They went and did their homework.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I got to be Homeland Secure. I made a name for myself in homelessness in Louisiana, and it spread across the country. So that's where I'm at today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity in our midst. We got a celebrity in our midst. We didn't realize all of this, Ray. We didn't realize at the start. We didn't know all of this. Now we know. If anyone needs Ray to sign autographs, we'll be doing that at the end of the show. Shout out to Mr. Party Packs in the building. Thank you for joining us, and everyone else who's still rocking with us. We just realized that Ray is a full-time celebrity.
Oh, I do have a podcast called Ray's Go Live. This Ray's Go Live comes to you live all over me. We're here right here. And like we always said, hey, Ray's Go Live. God loves you and I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Like you said in New Orleans, you heard me, baby. Peace out. Holla.
Ray with the energy.
I'm just saying.
Yo, we love it, my man. We love it. So, like, seriously, like this show, like this episode, this has been so dope. Like, just learning all the stuff that you do, all this, like, your journey has been super interesting, my man. Like, super duper interesting, sir. Super duper interesting. Like, I would have never known any of this. Like, for real, I'd have never known any of this. If we
You
didn't
took
have
a
this
chance on me.
conversation.
You took a chance on me, and I appreciate that. We'll be ever connected, right? Because you took a chance on me. Listen,
100%.
you said the honor is mine for being here. Not listen. I get more out of this from you than you could ever get from out of me. Believe me, I'm telling you, because this reassures. Listen, at 63, you know what you did to me at 63. You know what you said when you asked me to come. You know what that you told me. At 63, you still have value and you're still relevant.
100%, sir.
When we get to this age, right? Well, I can speak for me. After doing so much in life, you want to give so much more. Now you got the wisdom, you got the time. You want to give so much more, but you don't feel relevant because of whatever that might be. But anytime a person allows me to get on the set like this, that reassures, okay, I'm still relevant. I feel relevant. And that's what you just did for me. And that's the greatest, for me, that is one of the greatest things, the attributes that I can take from you, is that you, in spite of not knowing who I was or anything, you took a chance on me. And I appreciate that.
Ray, sir, the honor is all mine. Honor is all mine. Like, we're honored to have you as a guest. You know, like, with everything, like, you should never even feel like you're a celebrity in real life. For real. Like, I feel like presidents know you. You know, so like, nah, like it's definitely been an honor. It's definitely been great having you on the show. It's been great learning about everything that you do, everything you've been through, everything about your journey. It's been so awesome. Like, I don't even know what else to say.
We good. I had to get you on my podcast and my live, and I get some gleam and some information from you, and maybe you can connect me with. Maybe you can connect me with that one person I need that I want to give a percentage of the company to. Who knows? I don't know. You know, you got a great spirit, and I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, appreciate that, sir. Appreciate that. Speaking of which, have you ever connected with what's my homegirl? Tamika, Fit Prison Wife?
Yeah, actually, Tamika helped me a lot.
Yeah, Tamika's dope.
Yeah, she actually did she gave me some stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But she's, you know, I can glean from everybody. But the person that I'm looking for, they're not going to have all that going on. They might even be somebody who has all of the talent, has all the gifting, right? But never had the opportunity or the platform, right?
Yeah.
And they're just looking for that one break. If they can just get in that one place, right? Or get in that one business. That's the person. It's almost like I'm really not even looking for an entrepreneur.
Just looking for somebody who's looking for an opportunity. That's what's up. Oh, got a message. Boma, yeah, USA. You can't hear anything? Are you sure? Can everybody hear us? The rest of the people in here, can everybody hear us? Because that would be crazy if the audio is off.
No, it would be
crazy.
So
yeah,
anyway.
a few people have been in here, and I think they could hear us. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, Ray, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Thank you for everybody who rocked with us from the beginning till now. Ray, tell the audience and everyone who's listening and everyone who's going to watch this, what would you like them to know? How can they find you? How can they work with you?
All right. You can go to silkfinancial.net. Silkfinancial.net. That's where you can get all our information with our fintech and everything. You can email me at rwilkerson@silkfinancial.net. That's it. That's about it. You just get with me and we'll talk about it. If you want to know about our incubation program, acceleration program, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about our business suite. Like I said, you can contact me at 919.
First of all, I hope this is your business number, not your personal.
Yeah, it is. No, okay. No. You know, no.
Because I don't know, we don't know when the podcast could end up somewhere. Okay. That's
919-659-8924. 8924. Please contact me. I'm here for you. Anything I can do for you, just let me know.
Appreciate it. And there you have it. There you have it, folks. This has been another episode of the Trust Thyself Podcast, where we talk to people who go from being the underdogs to the heroes in their own story. Thank you all for rocking with us. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you, Ray, for being a guest on the show. The honor and everything. Really appreciate you, sir.
Peace out. Love y'all.